Hey, it's Nikki. Before we start the show, I wanted to invite you to download a free resource that I put together for you as the listener. This is my gift to you. You can get it right now. It is the 17 buying signals. Now, I wrote a whole book about buying signals, and I wanted to put it into a really simple format that you can have at your fingertips or in front of you whenever you want to. So I took out the 17 buying signals from the book, put them on a simple PDF, also gave you the kind of what to do when you get a buying signal, and explain what a buying signal is. So that PDF is available for you as a listener to go and download right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/17. That's yoursalesmaven.com/17 so that you can start acting on these buying signals and closing more business. All right, when you're ready, let's start the show.
Do sales conversations make you feel awkward or pushy? It's time to ditch the outdated salesy strategies. Your guide, Nikki Roush, will show you how to combine kindness with selling skills to meet your prospects where they are, and in the process, how to up-level your influence and income. Learn how to earn business easily and effortlessly. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush. Today's episode is part of the Mastering Excellence series. This is a concept that comes from my background in neuro-linguistic programming, where we learn that there is a structure to excellence. And once you understand the structure of how somebody is getting exceptional results in one area of their life or business, you can then apply that same structure to your own life and business to get similar results. Today's guest is my friend, Holly Haynes, and I'm super excited, if you haven't met Holly before, for you to connect with her. Let me share a little bit about her background. Holly helps female entrepreneurs create simple, scalable offers and systems to grow to multiple six figures. An industry expert and featured Thrive and Entrepreneur.com author with a 20-year business consulting background with Fortune 500 companies, Holly runs her strategic coaching business, the Crush the Rush Planner Company, and hosts the Top 100 Crush the Rush podcast while raising her twin daughters with her husband in Columbus, Ohio. Holly, welcome to the show, friend.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have you here today. So the topic that we're going to dig into is how to create structure to ensure success. And I feel like this is such a prime thing for us to talk about because you are so capable and really exceptional in this particular area, the way you've created your business, the way that you, because when I met you, I want to give the audience a little bit of background about us, but when I met you, you were working a full-time job. And then you had, I don't know, did you call it a side hustle? Because it feels like it was more than a side hustle.
I called it a side hustle, and then everyone was like, it's really not a side hustle, no. Holly. You need to stop calling it that.
Because it was it was already a very successful business. And I also got to be kind of a fly on the wall when you finally decided to leave your corporate gig and go all in, which has been... How long has it been now? It hasn't been that long.
It's been 6 months.
6 months. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not very long.
Tell us a little bit about what were you doing in your corporate life?
Yeah. So I have a 22-year corporate strategy career, which basically means that I would go into really large Fortune 500 companies as a consultant, and I would help them figure out really complex problems, right? So maybe they started this ginormous sales implementation, or maybe they were implementing back-end software and they weren't reaching their deadlines, or they were over budget, or they didn't have the teams to do it, or insert problem. We would come in, my team would come in, and we would help them figure out what their goals were, and then what's the best way to get from point A to point B in a super simple way. Mm-hmm. I joke that I have 800 certifications that nobody knows what they are, but it's been really fun to take those certifications and apply them to entrepreneurship, because you can use all of that. It's just a different terminology, right? It's just terms that people aren't used to. And so I sort of flipped the model and said, okay, I've done this for really large companies. Why can't I do it for female entrepreneurs? And so that's what we've been doing.
Yeah. So now share a little bit about how people work with you.
Yeah. So Nikki and I met actually through a mastermind. I am a huge fan of community and networking. It's how I've grown my business and how I have really been able to grow myself. And so I started out creating a mastermind. That was my first product, which is kind of backwards from what people normally do. Because I had the corporate experience, I could use that to teach entrepreneurs to build a business. So I work with women who are looking to build a business. Typically they work full time and are trying to do it in super part-time hours. So we have a mastermind, we have a community. And then I actually created a planner, like a physical product. So if you're just like really looking to add structure to your day, you can do that as well.
Your planner is gorgeous and beautiful and super cool that you have this amazing product that I know your clients absolutely love. So it's been really, really fun.
Yeah, we have like a cult following with the planner, which I totally did not expect at all. And like, side note, all this was developed during the pandemic. And so like, I think, on paper, it's like, are you going to quit your job and launch a product and launch a high ticket offer in the middle of a pandemic? Like, that's crazy. But it actually worked. Like, it worked really well. So
yeah.
Maybe that will motivate you.
I love that. Well, first of all, I love that your business and your podcast is Crush the Rush, but I feel like you are crushing life. Like you're just crushing it. And I'm so impressed by you. And you mentioned that we did, I think, originally meet. You were in a mastermind. I came in as a speaker. Is that right? Is that how we first?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was through Elizabeth Harkey, who I think we both absolutely love. At least I love her. And then you and I were in Luminary Leadership together in the last year. So it was really fun to get to know you and also get to know your husband too in that program, our first retreat in Florida.
Yeah. I mean, that's the retreat that changed everything. And I think people are like, well, how did you do it? And it was really being surrounded by people like you and other men and women who are in the mastermind. But also I brought my husband with me because I was like, if I'm going to like do the thing, like I have to have his support. And the minute that happened is when like everything like really changed because he could see, like physically see other people doing the same thing. It wasn't this like made up world that I had created. And so that was like really cool to see happen.
It was fun to see you in that environment. And also I feel like just even our first retreat together as a group, there were some huge life changes for people in our group. Like you went back and you quit your like day job and other people like moved across the country and like, they're like, we're taking our kids out of school. We're homeschooling our kid. Like there were these huge life decisions that happened as I think a result or just this collective of us being together. So it was super cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah. And I think it just goes back to you asked like what I offer and how you get started is like surrounding yourself by the right people to really ensure that like if you have a crazy idea, like creating a planner in the middle of a pandemic, that you're around people that are going to tell you like, hey, that's ridiculous or like, oh, you should go for it. Like that matches what your audience wants. And here's how you should do it, which I think was really neat to see.
And in our group too, we're the North and Third ladies that are the people that did your planner, right? And I fell in love with them. That's Alex and Megan. They're absolutely amazing. And it's fun. I feel like you brought them into the group. I don't know if that's true, but I feel like you did. And so it was just really amazing.
I call it like the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? Like you meet somebody, like I feel like you came into my life at a time when I was like, sales are scary. I can't do this. And then here comes Nikki and she's like, no, use this wording and use this wording. And then like we were in, another group together, which introduces you to other people. And it's just really cool to see how it's all evolved over time.
Yeah. I feel really, really blessed to have connected with you in particular, but also just the people. And it does matter who you hang around and do you put yourself, I will say for me, that was a big stretch because the only person I knew was Elizabeth. I didn't know anybody else in the group. So going to that first retreat as somebody who feels a little shy in groups, it was such a great experience to meet all these like really amazing minds and entrepreneurs. And so, like put yourself out there and see what happens when you get to.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that. I thought you knew everyone and I was the one that didn't know anyone. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know anyone. And by the way, I'm still like working this full-time gig. Like, who am I to be in this group?
I think a lot of us felt that way. I definitely did too, of like, I don't know if I fit here. Like these people are so far ahead of me in their business and in their life. And yeah, so I think we kind of, a lot of us had that same reaction, but yet look how, just the connections that happen and the amazing people that we got to be around. So,
yeah.
Okay, so let's dig in to this idea of how to create structure to ensure success, because this is something that you've been doing this for your entrepreneur clients now. This is something you have such a huge background in, like going into these really complicated, like, I don't know if mess is the right word, but it feels like things that can be a mess. And you're like, here, let's make some structure in it. Now, and this really feeds into this topic around mastering excellence, because it is about structure. And when you can understand how to create structure, you can then apply that to your own life. So we'll see where this conversation goes. But I feel like as an audience member, you're in for a really wild and exciting ride for us to dig into Holly's brain and see how she does it. So my first question for you, friend, is if I were to stand in for you for a day, so I get to be Holly. Okay. I would only be so lucky. I get to be Holly for the day. I want to know, how would I have to think and or behave in order to start to create structure to ensure success? So I'm just stepping into your shoes.
Yeah. So I think for me, it probably is, and I say it in my head all day long, is you have to take the right action at the right time and you have to be consistent. So like I literally wake up in the morning, and because I have twins who are 8 and my husband works with me, but he also has a real estate business, like our day is like crazy town sometimes. And so I have to be super, super focused on the activity that I am doing at the current time. Like there is not time to flip between things. Like if I wake up at 6, like I've got to use the time between 6 and 8 super strategically so that I can get what I need to get done. So then I can flip to like getting the girls to school or getting on podcast calls. I use the word structure, but I've got to be really consistent and focused in each sort of pocket of time that I use. And I actually hate using the word pocket of time because I do feel like you need like longer periods of time to work on things. But my day is very broken up into like different activities with different focuses that are strategically planned in a way that, like for me, I have evenings off and I'm not feeling overworked and overwhelmed. If that answers it.
Yeah.
I feel like I have no idea where these questions are going.
So as the audience, just so you know, like I never share with the speakers what I'm going to ask them or how the questions are going to come out, because I want it to come very organically from, we're just trying to tap in to Holly's brain. So you're perfect, Holly. You're doing great. So I'm going to comment on a few things. So Holly already mentioned that it's the right action at the right time and be consistent. And you talked about having really focused, I know you said pockets of time is maybe not your favorite phrase, but very focused. So my kind of follow-up question to that is, how do you move from one activity to the next? Like, how do you change your brain or so that you can be focused? Is there any structure or anything that you do around that?
Yeah. So I do it 2 different ways. One, before I go to bed the night before, I actually map out like the hour blocks of time of like what I'm doing and how I'm going to do it, so that when I wake up in the morning, I'm not like stressed about what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. Like I already know like what the day is going to look like. I also very frequently use themes for my day that I will plan out ahead of time. So like Tuesdays are client one-on-one days. Wednesdays are podcast days. Like I try to create themes so that I'm not like context switching, right? Like it's really easy for me to do like 5 podcasts in a row because I'm like in the mode, I'm talking, like I'm warmed up, I've showered, like I'm dressed, right? Like there are things that have to happen when it's content day or podcasting day, where other days, maybe it's more like behind the scenes. And so I know that I have like a little more time to take a walk or go to yoga or like do something a little bit different. So I try to eliminate the context switching so that I can really focus on what the activities of the day are, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think also as like a mom and someone with young kids, I have learned, especially when I was working full time, if there are a lot of activities going on with the girls or in my day job, I couldn't plan anything else. So I try to like under plan because I know that like something's going to happen that's not planned, right? That's just like normal life.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. So again, some structure here that she just shared was that the night before she maps out kind of what her day is going to be like. So that's some pre-planning. I love this concept of using themes for the day, and that helps you eliminate this context switching so that you're not like kind of all over the place. And then the under planning a little bit, which I think is probably a huge, like, of all the things that you've said so far, if we all actually started to under plan, we'd probably be in a better place, because most of us think, oh, I can juggle all these things all the time. And then, something happens and it totally derails you because you've over planned or over scheduled yourself. So,
I actually host planning parties inside my community. And the number one thing we do at the end of the planning party is say, I want you to take one thing off your plate for the month. Like, just take it away. Because I find that we overcommit just because of that's like who we are. It's super hard to say no. No one wants to say no. But if you have that like white space, which we talk about all the time inside the mastermind that we are in, like you actually can get more done. Yeah. So I try really hard to have days where like I don't have meetings, or if I have a big project, like maybe it gives me the space to work on it, or maybe I am doing something that's not business related so that I can actually get more done.
Yeah. I have found that to be true in my own business too, is this like blocking out times that I don't even necessarily say what the time's for, but it's blocked so nobody else can book it. And then I can actually work or record a podcast or whatever it is that I'm going to do.
Yeah, or just catch up, right? Like it's just a minute to like take a breath.
Take a breath. That's a good thing in your business, I think. Yeah. Okay. So my next question is, what are your goals when it comes to creating structure to ensure success?
That is a great question. I mean, I think my brain automatically goes to business, but my business goals are actually tied to personal goals and my personal goals. So the whole reason that I left my corporate job was we actually wanted to travel more as a family. So like our goal right now is to travel once a quarter. And I say travel as in like not going to grandma's, but like we want to like see the world. So like we're going to Scotland and England in a month. Like we're hopefully going to Costa Rica in January. I want it to be different. Like I want our life to be different than like what the typical like 9 to 5 was. Cause I feel like we worked so hard to pull ourselves away from like those boundaries that I want to make sure that we're using that time in a way that like serves us as a family and as a person, right? Like I feel like the joy that I have that I don't have to sit in a car and commute to work is like something that has still not gone away. Like I think about it every single day. So I want to make sure that I don't like not waste that time. Cause I mean, I think you can't like travel every day of your life, but like really experience what it means to have like the flexibility to sort of be wherever you want to be.
Yeah. I love this idea of tying your goals together, like your personal and your business goals. For you, it's this idea of like travel. But I think for anybody to be able to go, really, what is my goal? And if I can tie it to something that's bigger than I just want to get it done, right? Yeah. Like what's the bigger overarching, theme, maybe keep staying with your terminology, then it makes it more, I don't know, it's almost like you take it more serious, or you can be more diligent and you can be more structured because you are reaching, or, you've got this like bigger picture, I guess, in mind.
Yeah. So. And I think for me too, like money is motivating, but like going somewhere or doing something or enjoying something is way more motivating to me than money. So like when I think about like when I write my affirmations, it's like, I'll make $100 million this year. Like that doesn't sit the same for me as it's like, we're going to travel the world as a family. And like, I'm going to take my kids to see XYZ by the time they're 10 years old. That is more motivating to me than like a dollar figure. Now, of course, there's like money behind it, but
right.
It's helped me stay focused, right? And structured.
Yeah. I feel like when we were in Florida together, you had brought if I remember right, you had brought your mom and the girls got to play because we were at this really cool resort.
Yeah.
Girls got to like play because grandma was there to like take care of them. So you and Scott could, be in the mastermind with us. And I love that idea that you brought your kids with you and it didn't keep you from participating. And they got to experience that and you got to be there to experience it with them in a way.
Yeah. And I think we didn't plan it that way. I mean, it worked out, but I was like, well, if I'm going to go to Florida, like I have to take the family because we live in Ohio. So it's just like, you have to. But I think the cool part and like the after effect is like, they have seen like the effects of like, the work that has gone into it. Like they obviously see me working during the day, but they're seeing like how things happen behind the scenes and then the benefits that can, happen from that.
Right.
Which I think is important to show.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. So my next question is, how do you know you're achieving your goals, that you've created the structure that's going to move towards your success? How do you know you're achieving the goal?
So I think for me personally, like I get ridiculous anxiety when I start to become overworked. Like I don't sleep. I wake up in the middle of the night. I always say like, whenever I'm like scrolling social media too much, I start to like compare myself to other people and like what they're doing. And so those are the signs that I don't want to see. So how do I know I'm successful? Like I'm not feeling anxious about the next steps. Like I'm trusting the process. Which kind of goes back to like, I have downtime, I have white space. I'm working in hours that like work for our family and I'm not feeling that like panic in the pit of my stomach every single day.
Love it. Okay. And is there anything in particular that you do to actually reach the goal so that you are having the white space and not feeling anxious and having the downtime?
I mean, I'm an Enneagram 3 and I like color coding and lists and all the things. So I actually sit down every Sunday. I do it Sunday morning and plan out our week. I plan it out from a personal perspective first. Like, what do we have going on? Like I said, my husband's a realtor. Does he have open houses? Are there showings? Like, what activities do the girls have? And then I look at it from a business perspective. Like, what meetings do I have? What do I need to have prepared? And then going back to what I said at the beginning, like, is there too much on my plate? I will start to eliminate things if it feels too much. And I'll do it at the beginning of the week before I'm like in the thick of it. So if I need to move client meetings around or I need to change a podcast interview, I have been getting more comfortable at doing that because I know that I am better serving everyone if I'm not in a space where I feel like I'm just working all the time.
Okay, so I feel like what you just gave right there was such a gold nugget. So I just want to comment.
Okay.
That was so good. So this idea that you sit down every week, you said you do it on Sundays and you're planning out your week and that you're starting to essentially evaluate. So if I'm changing your words, please like correct me. But you're evaluating like what's on that schedule and what needs to be eliminated and or moved around so that you can still ensure that you're hitting this goal, that it's not going to cause anxiety. It's going to give you white space. It's going to allow you to sleep better and all of these things. That just feels like you're really taking very good care of yourself and also your business as a result.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty structured. I'm a pretty structured person.
Yeah.
But it goes back to like calming that anxiety and the fear because I get anxious when I don't know what's coming. Right. And we can only control so much. But if I can at least be like, okay, what can I control? I can control my schedule. I can control what activities we're doing. I can control communicating so that everyone knows what's going on. I can control the steps that I need to take to get to whatever the next level is. I at least feel good going into the week. And I used to always say like one of my other big goals of leaving my corporate job was like, I hated the Sunday Scaries. Like I hated panicking that like Monday was going to come and I had to like go into the week feeling just like dreading what was coming. And so taking that like planning minute, which you can do it in like 20 minutes, just like gets rid of the Sunday scaries and makes Monday much more enjoyable, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And so with this idea, so just for you, the audience, like I want to comment on here is even if you're like, I'm not going to do this Sunday thing, what piece of this can you take and apply to your own life or business that's going to allow for you to create more structure, which because you have more structure, you're going to feel more successful. So like Holly said, even if it's just 20 minutes that you're taking, like it doesn't have to be this huge chunk of time. It can be just the night before or whatever you're going to do, but do something for yourself that allows for you that so that you feel really good about your day. And that I love that term, Sunday Scaries. I've never heard
I know.
you say that before.
I hate
I've never
the Sunday
heard
scaries. That's Scott. That's a Scott term. He's like, you're totally suffering from the Sunday scaries. But for my clients who are like not super organized or don't love all of the structure, it feels awkward to them. I always give them 2 questions. And the questions are like at the end of the day, just like I felt like today was like, how did today go? And like, how can I make tomorrow better? So it's just like, it's just a super simple question that you can ask because you're just like acknowledging like today was a cluster because I had too many meetings and I just don't know it was too much. So like, what can you do to make tomorrow better? Maybe you need extra downtime in the morning because you just need to recover from being on so many calls. And it's just an easy way to like, just take inventory of what's going on.
Yeah. So I feel like, everything that you're sharing, one of the big things that's like rolling around in my brain now is that you are doing a lot of checking in with yourself and you're setting yourself up for success because you understand, because you check in with yourself regularly, you understand what causes you stress and what brings you peace. And so because you're always doing this check-in, how did today go? What can I do to make tomorrow better? Like, it's just this constant, like, you're so in tune with who you are. I love that.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. I feel like it's probably a lot of therapy and a lot of coaching that got me here. But
well, then amen to that, right? Like that's why we do therapy. That's why we do coaching. And the fact that you are so in tune, that's another thing. Like, how many of us are not checking in with ourselves and what would happen in our lives if we started checking in with ourselves more and really honoring our own feelings and our own needs and allowing some structure to be created as a result that is going to set us up for success. So I'm super excited about what you're sharing here. Yeah. Okay. So my last question around this before we kind of move into this next piece, or maybe I have 2 more questions.
Okay.
How do you know? And also, I just want to like side note here and comment, now knowing more about you, just from what you've shared, I feel like I probably caused you stress by not telling you what the questions were. So please
well,
forgive
you've heard
me.
my answer. I'm like, I don't know where you're going with this, but it's good. It's good. It's good. Not everything can be planned. I know that.
I feel like I'm going to owe you something to like calm you down in some way that you took this chance with me. So thank you. I feel really honored that you said yes, especially knowing that you check in with yourself and you probably should have said like, heck no, Nikki, go kick rocks. I'm not doing this thing if you're not telling me what's going to happen. So, okay. So how do you know that it's time to pay attention to creating more structure in your life? What are some signals or some things that happen where you go, okay, I need to create more structure?
I think it goes back to anxiety for me is huge. And I never had anxiety until I had my girls and then was like trying to figure out like working full time, running a business and being a parent. It like didn't exist for me. I had no idea what people were talking about. And then all of a sudden I would wake up in the middle of the night and be like, I can't breathe or I can't sleep or I just feel panicked all day long. And so for me, it's just that like that anxious feeling that like I'm not doing enough or something isn't aligned the right way. Like it's very much a feeling. And I say feeling because people are like, well, how do you know? Like, like it does not feel good. Like you are tired, you're not sleeping, maybe your eating habits are off. I think there's like a lot of just like health signals that for me trigger that like, hey, you gotta like reel it in a little bit. Like I actually, a couple of weeks ago, I was waking up, like not sleeping. We were getting ready to host this like really big retreat for our mastermind at our house over the summer. And I was like, you know what? I'm like just going to ditch the 5 a.m. workouts. And I just started walking. Like I just started walking every morning because like being outside calms me. And it gave me a minute where I could just like walk in silence. And it wasn't like a super hard workout or something. Like I'm super structured. So I always have my workout planned, and I like ditched it. And I was like, I'm just going to walk outside. Like I just need a minute to like take a breath. And so for me, it's again, going back to like listening to a lot of health signals of like what's happening and how do I feel, which typically means I'm doing too much or I'm not like resting enough. Like sleep is a big thing for me. Most of the time I say sleep cures all things.
It definitely makes things better. I agree. I love sleep. I'm definitely somebody who loves to sleep. Sometimes I'm like, I think I could be a nap person every day.
Oh yeah.
I aspire to be the person who takes a nap every single day.
That's so funny. Because like the first couple of months, I think when I was not working full time, I was like, girls are at school. I could totally go take a nap. Like, should I go take a nap? Is that okay? Like I would question if it was okay. And now like I probably take a nap 2 or 3 times a week. I do get up at 5 a.m. So like
that's a long,
like getting a lot
early.
done in the morning before the girls are up. But my husband's like, your nap schedule, Holly. Like, I don't know what's happening, but it's a good one. I like it.
I love naps. Okay. My last question then is there any point where you are thinking about how to create structure, but you're like, how do you know when to stop?
Yeah. I mean, I think my downfall of my personality is I'm a workaholic. Like work is how I deal with stress. So it's really easy for me to work too much, right? Because I mean, especially as an entrepreneur, like there's always 800 things to do, always.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like I could work until I could just work forever. Like it feels good to me. And that's like how I like hide from things. It's how I deal with things. And so I have to really watch for that and make sure that like, okay, if I worked like I don't usually work 8-hour days, but if I do, it's like, wow, that was like a really long day. That's not your goal. Like my goal is to work 2 to 3 hour days. That's it. So I use work as like a coping mechanism, and I have to like really pay attention to when I'm doing that too much.
Well, this is really helpful and useful, and I'm really honored that you said yes to doing this. So now we're going to move into this little section, which is a little something extra.
Okay.
So my question, I could have fed these to you, and I'm sorry that I didn't.
We're just testing the structure.
I know,
my really coping mechanisms right now.
How much anxiety can I cause Holly in one podcast? My first question is, what's your guilty pleasure?
Real Housewives. I'm obsessed. I feel like if I could be a Real Housewives, I would be Kyle from Beverly Hills. I love her. And yeah, I watch all of them.
I was going to say, is there like a certain, I watched it years and years ago, and I don't watch a lot of reality TV anymore unless it's Australian reality TV, because I love The Block.
I haven't dug into that. I do love a good reality show.
Oh my gosh. I love Australian reality TV, I think the most, but that's just me. Okay. So any of the housewives, doesn't matter like where.
I mean, Beverly Hills and Orange County is my favorite because I feel like it's just so different than Ohio, right? Like it's just so different.
Do they have an Ohio one?
No.
Oh,
I'm just saying like, it's like,
maybe they should.
I mean, we're like in the middle of a cornfield. Like it's not, it's so different than life here.
I think they should have one, and you should be the star.
Yeah.
You would be a great star for that. Okay.
I don't know. I don't think I'm fancy enough, but yeah, I love watching it. It's just like a nice break.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. How do you celebrate your wins?
Oh, Scott and I were just talking about this last night. I'm really bad at celebrating wins, really bad. Going back to my like work tendencies. I'm like, oh, that was great, but that could be better. I can just keep going. So we've been trying once a month. We try to do like just like a monthly date day, especially when the girls are at school. And then I love the spa. So like I've been trying really hard to just like go get a facial or go get a massage or just something that is like quieting and calming.
I like that. All right. What's one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
Oh, that is a good question. I'm definitely afraid of snakes. Like I like can't even look at them. Like when we go to the zoo, like I will not be in the reptile house. I cannot even. And I keep thinking like I need to really overcome this fear, but I don't want to. Like it's just like a thing. I'm not scared of like bugs or spiders or anything else. Just don't like snakes.
Yeah. Yeah. There's an NLP process that's known as fast phobia and trauma relief. And I went through it years ago, and I didn't think it worked at the time because I had
oh my gosh, you're giving me anxiety like even thinking about it.
I had the same fear around spiders, and I didn't think it worked until I came home from the like weekend of NLP studying where somebody had led me through the process. And this spider dropped down like right in front of my face. Like I just pulled into my garage and I was going upstairs and this spider dropped down in front of my face. Normally I would have had a complete meltdown. And I was like, oh, spider, like move away. And I was like, oh my gosh, that worked. So if you really ever do want to overcome it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm there yet.
That's okay. You don't have to. Okay. Tell us what's something exciting going on in your business right now?
Yeah. So going back to structure, I am truly on a mission to work 2 to 3 hours a week, period.
A week?
Or not a week, a day.
Oh, sorry. I was like
Monday through
Friday.
Like,
girl.
Like 10 or 15 hours. Like I really want to, I truly live what I preach. Like I want to build a super full-time business on a very part-time schedule. So we've been working behind the scenes on like funnels and automations and like really digging into like some of the more back end things. Most people wouldn't think that's exciting, but for me, it is exciting because it frees up time for me to be able to coach more women, to host more mastermind retreats. We'd actually have 2 masterminds now that we have launched. And so it frees up my time to be able to coach and serve more. I love like just speaking in person and helping people in person. So that's exciting for me.
Awesome. And then how can people listening connect with you?
Yeah. So if you love the concept of themes and just keeping things really simple, we actually created a 5-day challenge, super structured, but super simple. It's called CEO Week, and it's really becoming the boss of your business and your personal schedule together. So you can just go to hollymariehaynes.com/CEO Week. It's totally free. I teach you my themes, my like daily routine. You can use it if you have a business, if you don't have a business. Like I have had people email and tell me they're saving like 20 to 30 hours a month because it is so much more structured.
Wow.
So I'd encourage you to take it.
Yes. Go sign up for this and then you'll be connected to Holly. Also, I want to say, follow her on Instagram because I think you're super interesting. I love the stuff that you post on Instagram. I'm always like, look at Holly. She's crushing it. I feel like you crush life, but that's just me. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm really, really honored that you said yes. And especially knowing like you're a little bit more about your style now. And I feel like I created some anxiety, but you were brave and this was awesome. And I hope listeners get so much out of it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Holly.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was really fun.
Yeah. And for you, the listener, thank you so much for being here and for showing up. I'm getting some really great feedback from the listeners about these Mastering Excellence series. So there's some, we'll keep doing them as long as you guys keep loving them. So thank you for your feedback. If there was something that came out today that you want to share with me, please reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. And all of this is in the show notes. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.